Welcome to the show. I'm Mercy Ajishafir, your host for a new day, a new week, and another new show filled with everything you love about entertainment. Because, as always, this is Arise 360. Now, my name's Mercy Ajishafir, and I'll be your host for the show. Our Monday motivation is showbiz, and after a busy weekend, there is lots to tell you about. So here's what's coming up today on Arise 360. First, I'll be doing my daily roundup of the top headlines from all four corners of the globe on our trip around the world. Then, we'll turn to the music industry and find out the latest scoop and scandal from all those chart-topping celebrities. Also on the show, I'll be letting you know what you should be looking out for in the theatres and the galleries as we talk art and culture. And finally, I'll be catching up with Arise correspondent Judita Da Silva in London to get up to date with film and television. All that and much more right here on Arise 360. Well, it's time to start as we mean to go on with our daily review of what's happened in a day around the world. Now, we begin in America, where Monica Lewinsky has opened up for the first time about how Bill Clinton convinced her to break the law and lie under oath. Now, in the final part of the A&E docuseries, The Clinton Affair, Lewinsky revealed that Clinton convinced her to deny the affair if she was called to testify in the Paula Jones case. The 45-year-old recalled the former president telling her that she could avoid being deposed if she denied the affair in an affidavit. Lewinsky said that Clinton had called her at 2:30 in the morning to let her know that she was on the witness list for the Paula Jones case. Now, I was petrified, she said. I was frantic about my family and this becoming public, Lewinsky tearfully recalled. Thankfully, Bill helped me lock myself back up from that, and he said I could probably sign an affidavit to get out of it, and he didn't even know if it was 100%, if 100% I would be subpoenaed. She was indeed subpoenaed a few days later. Now, staying in America, we go on to the movie sequels, which are having their own Thanksgiving feast at the box office, fueling record industry-wide grosses for the long weekend. Now, Ralph Breaks the Internet and Creed 2 took the top 2 spots in the North American charts, beat the openings for the original films, and helped the 5-day Thanksgiving box office totals cross the $300 million mark for the first time ever. Now, studios on Sunday said that Disney's Wreck-It Ralph sequel earned an estimated $55.7 million over the 3-day weekend and $84.5 million since its Wednesday opening to take first place and become one of the biggest Thanksgiving openings of all time. Now, we head over to Asia, where Singaporean actress Rebecca Lim is pretty ecstatic with her gritty, action-packed role in the Asian remake of the Scandinavian hit series, The Bridge. It's an investigative crime thriller that revolves around a high-profile murder case where 2 detectives, one from Malaysia and the other from Singapore, have to work together to investigate the mysterious circumstances of a body found on the border of the Malaysia-Singapore second link. Now, Lim, 32, plays the no-nonsense Singaporean detective Serena, who has to team up with the Malaysian detective Megat, played by Bront Pelere, 40. Now we're heading over to Australia, where a second season of Big Little Lies was far from guaranteed, given that the first season adapted Liane Moriarty's novel in its entirety. But the show turned into such a runaway success that another go-around was ordered nevertheless. Now, it may not happen again. Nicole Kidman, in a Variety interview, says that getting the band back together would be extremely difficult. She said, I think it would simply be hard to get the whole group together, but we would love to do it. That's what she said. Now we head over to Europe now, where the latest iteration of Robin Hood, released by Lionsgate, has turned out to be 2018's biggest bomb, having made only $14 million in its 5-day opening against a budget of just $100 million. Now, overseas it has done even worse with $8.7 million from 33 countries, and while it's made $6.3 million in the UK, the overall worldwide coffers for the film are disappointingly meager. There have been some significant box office bombs in 2018, such as Paramount's Annihilation, and 20th Century Fox's The Darkest Minds. However, these films had low to mid-level budgets that reduced how much of a financial hit their studios have taken. With a global launch of just $22.8 million, Robin Hood has had the worst opening for any film this year, with a budget of $90 million or higher. Ooh, that is what you call stealing from the rich to give back to what, the rich? Well, over in the UK, Kensington Palace has confirmed that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will be moving out of their current residence within the palace grounds early next year, instead opting to live in Windsor. Now, an official statement from the palace shared by Sky News royal correspondent Rhiannon Mills reveals that the Duke and the Duchess of Sussex will be moving to Frogmore Cottage on the Windsor estate as they prepare for the arrival of their very first child in spring 2019. Currently, Harry and Meghan live in Nottingham Cottage within the grounds of Kensington Palace. The two-bedroom cottage is not big enough for the couple's expanding family. They also have 2 dogs and will likely require a live-in nanny, don't forget. But speculation had previously been rife that the royals would relocate to Apartment 1, a 20-room property located just next door to Prince William and Kate Middleton's house. Apartment 1A is in Kensington Palace. Now we head over to India, where members of the international and Indian cast of Netflix's upcoming film Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle, walk the red carpet at its world premiere in Mumbai on Sunday. Now, actors Christian Bale, Frida Pinto, Rohan Chand and Andy Serkis were joined by the starry members of the Indian voiced cast, including Abhishek Bachchan, Kareena Kapoor Khan, Anil Kapoor, and Madhuri Dixit Nene. Abhishek, who voices Bagheera in the Hindi version of the film, looked dapper in a blue suit, blue shirt combination. He also shaved off his beard, which had become part of his look for a long time. His English counterpart, Belle, wore a black 3-piece suit and was accompanied by his wife, Sandra Blazik, who wore a slight, gorgeous green dress. And finally, we're back here in Africa, where Black China's mother, Tokyo Toni, has been hitting back hard at her daughter's critics. Now, Tokyo Toni stated that her daughter's haters are all angry because they can't afford to buy a $250 cream, adding that her daughter is light-skinned and can do whatever she likes. Now, this is coming after White Initia's boss Denzia also slammed Burna Boy over his comments about Black China. Now, according to Denzia, Burna Boy only promotes drugs and cannot even afford to hang out with Miss Black China. Well, Burna, you heard it from Tokyo Toni herself. I'm not sure if we agree. We're just here to report the stories. Now, also in Africa, Global Citizen has just announced that South Africa's own black coffee is a late addition to the lineup for the event, which is taking place in Johannesburg on Sunday, the 2nd of December. Now, the organisers have added that the prolific local producer will be collaborating with one of the major international artists on the lineup. The name of the international artist has not been announced, but the collaboration will take place in the first half of the show. The lineup for the Global Citizen Festival, Mandela 100, presented by the Mosep Foundation, will feature performances by Beyoncé and Jay-Z, Casper Noyovis, D'banj, Ed Sheeran, Eddie Vedder, Femi Kuti, Casey Musgraves, Pharrell Williams, Chris Martin, Sho Majozi, Tiwa Savage, Usher, and of course, the one and only Starboy himself, Wizkid. Now it's time to go on a short break, but do stay tuned because coming up, I'll be bringing you all the latest music news, and then we'll be chatting about what stories have been trending on social media. Make sure you don't go anywhere. This is Arise 360. Welcome back. You're watching Arise 360. I'm Mercy Ajishafer. Now, the music industry has not slowed down over the weekend, and we have the biggest stories to share with you now. So here on today's music news. Now in today's music news, it was an emotional Thanksgiving holiday weekend for Sean Diddy Combs and his family as they said goodbye to his ex-girlfriend and mother of 3 of his children, Kim Porter. The 47-year-old actress and model was found dead in her bed at her home in Los Angeles on November the 15th. Her funeral, held on Saturday, was held at the Cascade Hills Church in Columbus, Georgia, Kim's hometown. Diddy gave a touching eulogy in front of his family and a host of celebrity friends, where he said, "Today we lay to rest our angel. Her spirit lives on with us forever." Now, singer Faith Evans performed at the service before Kim was buried in the church cemetery as Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On" played in the background. Now, of course, I did have to resist the urge to sing, "What's going on, what's going on, what's going on?" Anyway, some happier news now, and it's a very, very happy birthday to Nigerian music mogul Don Jazzy, who turns 36 today. Well, the man behind the Mavens Records, Nigeria's answer to Rockefeller Music, at just 36, has managed to produce and or feature on some of the biggest records in modern Afrobeats music, including Doro Bucci, Eminado, and Oliver Twist. Hey. As a music executive, he has also masterminded the careers of some of Africa's music brightest stars, like Tiwa Savage, Corday Bello, and Ricardo Banks, with his collaboration with Jay-Z's title, "The Future is Bright and International" for Don Jazzy. Jay-Z's title? Don Jazzy. "Happy birthday, Don Jazzy. If you want to take me to meet Jay-Z, I will go." Now, last week, Ariana Grande teased her fans with behind-the-scenes pictures of her brand new music video, which suggested a throwback to the 90s teen drama Mean Girls, well, early noughties. Well, with the latest teasers, we know it's definitely true. Now, Ariana must surely be a fan of the Lindsay Lohan movie, because she has even enlisted the help of actor Jonathan Bennett, who played the role of Aaron Samuels in the original film. He looks like he'll be reprising the role in the new video for Ariana's latest hit, "Thank You, Next," from these new pictures, which were posted on Instagram. Jonathan will star alongside Ariana as the Queen of Mean Girls, Regina George, the role that was made famous by actress Rachel McAdams. Now, the weekend saw the 5th annual Africa Music Awards, or AFRIMA, take place, and it was a winning night for Nigerian music. Wait, when is it not a winning night for Nigerian music? Now, the ceremony was held in Accra in Ghana, and Nigerian singer Davido continued his award-winning streak of 2018 by claiming the award for African Artist of the Year and Best Male Artist in West Africa. Now, fellow Nigerian Tiwa Savage won the award for the Best Female Artist in West Africa, and Nigerian rapper Falz the Bad Guy won the Best African Rapper. Now, South African music icon Yvonne Chaka Chaka, affectionately nicknamed the Princess of Africa, had her 30-year music career honoured with this year's AFRIMA Legend Award. Now, it's been a whole 2 decades since the release of Tupac's greatest hits album, and the rap icon's estate is commemorating the milestone. Now, representatives for Tupac's estate had teased a new release to mark the anniversary, and many thought it would be new music. But oh no, instead it is an entire range of limited edition apparel and vinyl records of the 20-year-old Greatest Hits album. The announcement was made on Tupac's official Instagram page on Saturday, and the items will only be available for a limited time via his social media and website. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a massive Tupac fan, so that is great news for all of us. Thug life, all day, every day. Now, that's all for music news for today. Let's waste no time and move straight on to the digital world of viral videos and hashtags as we look on social media and find out what's trending. Now, as always, when we talk about what's trending on social media, I like to get some help from my partner in crime. That is, of course, Arise correspondent Judita De Silva, who joins me now from our studios in London. Hi, Judita. How you doing, girl? What's up? Now, I hear...
Good, thank you. How are you, Mercy?
I'm very well, thank you, Judita. Now, we've got to get right into it because there's no time to waste. We've got to give them their gossip and we have to give it to them 360 Arise style, girl. Now, I hear there's some happy news trending on social media about the Conjoined twins, Nima and Dawa. Tell us more about this, girl.
Okay, this is a really happy story to start the week. So Nima and Dawa are Bhutanese twins that were conjoined at birth. And they were actually helped by the Children First Foundation, who found them in Bhutan and flew them out to Australia to have surgery to separate them. And this is groundbreaking surgery because a lot of the times that it's quite traumatic and they weren't sure that such young babies would make it, but they did make it. And the surgery took place on the 9th of November. Yeah, but they've been recuperating and healing well. But what the doctors have noticed is that even though they were separated, they still want to be together a lot of the time. Oh, wow. But as of this morning, they announced that they've actually finally left the hospital and they're going back to the Children First Foundation first in Kilmore, and then they'll be able to fly back home with their mother to Bhutan.
Okay, so this is quite interesting. So you say as of this morning, they're actually home safely and they're okay, is that correct? Now, do we have any precedent on something like this?
They've described them as cheeky.
Oh my God, wow. That's amazing, Judita. Not only are they okay, not only are they alive, not only are they well, they're cheeky. So you know that children are okay when they're cheeky. So what happens next with the twins then?
Absolutely, because the surgeons... Yeah, the surgeons have actually said, like, because they've been closely monitored ever since the surgery, because they know that it's something that's groundbreaking, because they shared certain organs and parts of their body. So the separation was a very long, very arduous one. So that's why they've been in hospital for weeks. Wow. But the fact that when they're starting to show personality, it means that it shows the vitality and the actual survival instinct has kicked in. But they still need to be close together. But at least now the fact that they feel safe enough to not be in the hospital and move back to the Children First Foundation for the rest of their recuperatory period, it shows that they're moving in the right direction. And their mother just thanked everyone for helping them, because had it not been for the Children First Foundation, it wouldn't be this. And actually, the former king of Bhutan wrote a letter to the chief executive of the hospital saying, thank you for changing the girls' lives.
Well, shout out to the Children First Foundation. That is amazing work that you're doing. And I have to say, just like siblings, don't you love it? You just can't separate them, can you?
Yeah.
Now, let's talk, girl.
I know. It's so beautiful.
It is amazing. But Judita, we have some more stuff that we got to get into, and we got to get into now. Listen, I got 3 words for you, boo-boo. Game of Thrones. What are we talking about? Now, of course, Game of Thrones actor Kit Harington has had to defend his marriage to his former co-star and wife, Rose Leslie. Now, this is always so interesting. What's the goss? What's the situation on this? What's happening on social media?
Now, you know they told me you were in the building today. That's why I brought the gossip in. I had to bring my A game because I knew you were in the building. Okay, so... Game of Thrones stars Kit Harington and Rose Leslie. Yes. They met on Game of Thrones. They were rumored to be together for about 6 years, but never went public until 2016. They got engaged in 2017, and they got married in June of this year. Yes. Well, there's this Russian model called Olga Vlaslova, who took to social media to say she's been having an affair with Kit Harington for a month, and it lasted from when he was engaged to Rose Leslie to after they were married.
Oh no, Olga didn't.
And think about it, these are still newlyweds, so it must be very traumatizing for Rose Leslie, because one thing that Kit Harington actually said when they won one of the Emmys for Game of Thrones is that the show changed his life because he found her. And a lot of the time, the work they pick so they can spend more time together, because she has a big American TV show. He's in the West End doing theater. So they're making their marriage work is a big deal. So he definitively had his reps put out a statement which said, it actually said, the allegations in this story are completely false. He's never been to Luxembourg, where Olga alleges they first met, nor has he ever met Olga Vlaslova. So that's quite a definitive message.
Well, there you go. You know what? I'm not going to pick any sides, but you know how we feel about homewreckers in this part of the world, right? It is not cool. We love them together.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if they told you, but I'm a proper romantic,
Yeah.
honestly, Judita. So this kind of story, you know, I don't know, maybe one day I'll come into the Arise News studio and I will see my very own Kit Harington across the table for me, and then we shall have our own love story. It's possible, no, definitely, it's possible. So they've
And you know that I'll be reporting on all the gossip about you as well, because I'm that shady.
Judita, listen, you need to be right there. You can have maid of honor, everything, but make sure you get Arise 360 out, because everyone needs to have their gossip. So that's interesting. So essentially, he said, it's a lie, it's not happening. I don't know her. He gave her the Mariah Carey. He said, I don't know her.
No, absolutely, because many people have said, like, on social media that this sounds like an opportunist because she's pretty much got what she wants. We're talking about her, social media's talking about her, and that's who else would know about Olga Vlasilova before now? So I think that was the means to the end. It's probably a non-founded story, but the very fact that she's targeted somebody that's so well-liked in one of the biggest shows in the world, it gets her name out there. And some people in this social media era will do anything for 50 minutes.
In this day and age, I do not know what is going on, but it seems like everything, and you know what the upsetting thing, no, Judita, we need to take a moment right now because we're both young women, and the most upsetting thing about this is that, you know, I believe in equity and equality and all of that, but I have to say, in this day and age of getting fame via making up stories on social media, it seems like us women seems to be the one like leading the pack right now. It's a little bit disappointing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really do good for flying the flag for the gender, but you have to realize you take the rough with the smooth, and also when you know that the kind of environment we live in is so quickly disposable. Everything's here for a moment and gone the next. And because of that, people feel they need to get instant fame overnight. And doing something shocking tends to get more attention. And attention is collateral because on social media, attention is followers, and followers translates into viewership, viewership translates into money. So the highest collateral you can have in 2018 on social media is attention. And getting it any way you can is what people are trying to do.
Judita, I could not, truer words have not been spoken. Attention is indeed collateral, and you know what I would say right now? We need some of that collateral to turn into visibility, to turn into what? Monetization. So you know what, having said that, Sister Olga, we'll take the rough with the smooth. We understand what happened, but it's all right. Now, let's move on. There has been a lot of chatter on social media about the young rappers, Acacia and Aaliyah, on the UK's X Factor. Now, I just got back from the UK, and you know, I missed Saturday's episode of X Factor, so I didn't get to see A&A. You get me? That's what I call them. True say bad man. I like to call them A&A. I didn't get to see their last performance. So what's going on there? Talk to me. Judita, what's this? You're just...
Okay, serious scoop. So we know that this was the semi-final leading into the final, so it was the last act.
Yes.
But it turns out that it was a lot of backlash because they'd come in with like a tornado. There's two young girls. They came in as separate artists, but Simon Cowell put them together as a rap duo. And so they performed this mashup of Stormzy's Big For Your Boots and Skepta's Shutdown for the semi-final to get into the final. But then viewers took to social media in their droves to say, okay, enough already, because they had actually performed the songs during the qualifying rounds to get into the show rounds. So everyone's kind of thinking that, well, this is meant to be a competition of the best of the best. Can't you come up with some other song? We already were impressed the first time you did it, and then the second time you did it. To do it again now, this late in the game, they didn't like it. And remember, this is Robbie Williams' act. He's their mentor, but Robbie Williams has been touring in South America at the same time. So he's not immediately available. So people have been blaming him, for not being available to kind of put the kibosh on such a choice that could ruin them. And it did, because when it came to the public vote, they were in the bottom two. And then when they were in the sing-off, they were voted out. So people think it was because of the choice of song, because as they say, with this TV talent shows, the song is everything. No, and then the performance is secondary.
The song is everything, the performance is second. In fact, does the performance even matter? You know what it's like. We've grown up on the X Factor and we've seen so many different acts. Let's not forget One Direction. Let's not talk about Little Mix, who are actually still in the mix right now. Now, the reason I picked those two in particular is they were also groups who were put together after they auditioned, individually. So it's quite interesting that A&A have actually met this fate as well. Now, the question I have for you is, do we think that these young women are still going to do well after the show? Because if you notice that even if you don't win, once again, Little Mix, One Direction, you still have a chance of having an amazingly incredible career.
Yeah, you just fired the silver bullets because, like you said, we're looking at Little Mix, looking at One Direction. They both came third in their respective years and went on to have global careers. And so everyone has kind of said, when it comes to the X Factor UK, losing is probably the best thing for you because everybody doesn't attach the stigma of you're a talent show winner to your career.
Yes.
You're somebody grafting who just happened to get attention.
Yes.
And as Robbie Williams, their mentor, said that their career is only just starting and they've got big things ahead because remember, these are two young black girls going into the grime music scene.
Yep.
In the UK, that is a vacuum because there isn't a standout star in grime music for women. We already have Stormzy and we have Skepta. We don't have two girls. And so they're young, so they're millennials.
What about Steph London?
They're dynamic and they have attention.
Could we consider
See,
Steph London to be
is
grime?
like BC has a bona fide rapper.
Yes, okay.
Thank you. She's a bona fide rapper. She's
not grime.
transitioned. She's working with French Montana. She's more global.
No, she's
not
global
grime.
now, but she
That's why I
started
said
off.
there's that vacuum for female grime artists.
No, you are right, I guess, because she
True,
did,
very
she
true,
did
but
start
she's
off in the
managed to
grime
broaden
industry.
her scope.
Exactly. You know what, speaking of Steph London, I have to say that is someone that we should speak about and be very proud of, because think about what she's managed to achieve. From grime artist that was unknown on Channel U to being a global superstar working with French Montana. A&A, I think that might be their future. Who knows? Well,
Absolutely, because these girls are exactly in the pocket they need to be. They appeal to tweens and millennials. So they have longevity on their side. Then they have the diversity ticket on their side. And because they didn't win, they have that really very valuable collateral, which is an injustice has been done. So people will always tend to gravitate towards the people they felt should have won, rather than the people who actually did win.
Well, thank you so much, Judita. That's all from Judita for now. But there'll be more from her later on in the show when we'll be discussing all the latest in film and television. Don't forget A&A. I had so much fun with Judita, but it is time for another quick break. But don't go away because coming up, I'll have all of today's art and culture news. And there is a Playboy auction that has people talking. Well, keep it here on Arise 360 and I'll tell you more when we get back. I'm Mercy Ajishafe. Welcome back. You're still watching Arise 360. I'm your host, Mercy Ajishafe. Now, after all that music and social media gossip and gist, let's change speed just a bit and see what's been grabbing everyone's attention this past weekend in the world of art and culture. Now, Playboy Pooh Bar, Hugh Hefner's iconic pipe, silk pajamas and smoking jacket are all up for sale next week as items from the Raunchy Rebels personal collection go under the hammer in La La Land. Now, auction lots range from Hef's personal stack of Playboys, which could fetch up to $40,000, to the signature smoking jacket, which will probably fetch between $3,000 and $5,000, and silk pajamas, another between $1,000 and $2,000. Now, a carved briar pipe with the custom Playboy bunny logo is expected to net up to $3,000. Now, Hefner, who is known to attend Los Angeles Laker basketball games with his Playboy girlfriends in tow, was given a 1980 championship ring by team owner Jerry Buss. The sparkler's list price is between $2,000 and $4,000. The Playboy founder died in 2017 at the ripe old age of 91. Now, a historic Detroit mansion owned by late singing legend Aretha Franklin has now been sold. According to a Detroit News report, the house, which was built in 1927 and was 5,600 square foot brick adjacent to the Detroit Golf Club, fetched $300,000 in a sale last month. The newspaper further reports that Franklin bought the home in 1993 but nearly lost it in 2008 due to unpaid property taxes. Franklin's estate personal representative, Sabrina Garrett Owens, says there is no other Detroit properties that were owned by the Queen of Soul. Her 4,148 square foot colonial-style house in suburban Detroit's Bloomfield Township still is listed for $800,000. Franklin died of pancreatic cancer in August in her Detroit riverfront apartment. She was 76. Now, Colombia has broken the Guinness World Record for having the most people light a glow stick simultaneously. Go Ravers! Now, local organizers gathered in Bogota on Saturday, the 24th of November 2018 to break the record and in doing so raise awareness about women's rights. Now, the event took place on the eve of UN's International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Valeria Ponchon, a women's rights activist, said the event will help people around the world understand the problems around lack of gender equality. With 4,394 participants shaking their wrists for a full minute, they surpassed the 3,712 person mark needed to establish a record. There I am, joining in with you guys. I know I'm like a day late and I don't have a glow stick, but here I am. Now, President Emmanuel Macron announced Friday that France would return 26 works of art to Benin, hours after he was presented with a report calling for thousands of African artworks in French museums and taken during the colonial period to be returned. The report by French art historian Bénédicte Savoy and Senegalese economist Felwine Sarr recommends that French museums give back work to Africa if African countries request them. The report estimates that up to 90% of African art is still outside the continent, including statues, thrones, and manuscripts. Some 70,000 of the estimated 90,000 works of the sub-Saharan art in France's public collections are held by just one museum, the Caire Branly Museum in Paris, which opened in 2006 to showcase non-European art, much of it from former French colonies. Now, of course, the statues, artworks, paintings, and manuscripts would be much appreciated back in Africa. Now, the treasures of an ancient Egyptian tomb, thought to be more than 3,500 years old, have been unveiled. An archaeological mission from France's University of Strasbourg made the discovery in the Assasif Valley near the city of Luxor. Each containing a mummy were found, and both are in perfect condition. The archaeological dig also discovered around 1,000 funerary statues at the site. The tomb is believed to date to the 18th dynasty, which spanned from 1550 BC to about 1300 BC. The Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, Mostafa Waziri, said at a press conference on Saturday that the team made the find after working at the site since March.
We found a new Ramesside tomb with very nice paintings, colored paintings, with a depiction of the Queen Ahmos Nefertari and her son Amenhotep I, both deified during the Ramesside period. They found many finds inside the tomb. The nicest object, of course, are the two coffins found inside the tomb.
Nothing like a good archaeological dig to get the juices flowing on a Monday afternoon. Now it's time for another break, but stay tuned to Arise 360 because coming up, we have the one and only amazing Judita Da Silva, who'll be back with us again, and she'll be talking all about movies and television. Don't miss it. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. You're still watching Arise 360. Welcome back. I'm Mercy Ajishafer. Now, the cameras have been rolling and the industry has been churning out those movies and TV shows. So let's find out what the latest is in film and television. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm super excited. Now, joining me once again to fill us in with all the inside scoops on film and television, it is the Arise correspondent who I've personally come to like very much, Judita Da Silva. Now, at our studios in London. Hey, Judita, thank you so much for staying with us. Hey, how are you?
Merci.
So, now,
pleasure.
You clearly heard me say before.
Well.
You're doing well?
I've done my stretches.
Oh, I like. You see, I knew that I liked you, Judita. You've got it. Everything's matching: the brain, the heart, the soul. You know, you've got your stretches done before coming. That's what I love. A woman who's serious about the job. Now, Judita, let's start with television. Now, there's been a big move for computer games company Rebellion. Is that right? What do you have to tell us?
Yeah, so Rebellion has opened a massive new film and TV studio in Oxford in the UK. And this is because they're making the push, because they're known as a computer games. They're the owners of Judge Dredd and 2000 AD comics. But now they're moving into film and TV, which we know everybody wants to get into because everyone wants to be like Amazon and Netflix. So it's based in London, it's based in Oxford, and it's going to house 2000 AD, which is the comic book series, and third-party film and TV projects, because they've already announced that they're going to be doing a TV series of Judge Dredd called Mega One City and also Rogue Trooper. And those two series will feature characters from the comic books of 2000 AD.
So essentially, for some of comic books' biggest fans, their favorite Rebellion comics are coming to life, essentially. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely, because they've had two film versions of Judge Dredd, the movie, one that starred Sylvester Stallone and then another reboot that starred Carl Urban.
Yes.
And it's a character that's very well loved. So to then hear that they were going to do a TV series, everyone's very excited. And Rebellion is a well-respected name within the comic book industry and video games industry. So to find that they're pushing into TV, it seems like a natural progression, particularly in this golden age of television.
I have to say you're right. It's definitely a natural progression, especially in this age right now. As you've already said, you have Amazon Prime, you have Netflix, you have all these different technology giants getting involved into TV and, film. So I think you're right. That is the final frontier for so many different brands. You know what? Do I have Oxford on line 1? We should not be having any rebellions. No rebellions here. Oh my God, don't worry, Judita. We'll call them later. No, let's move over to film now. Now, it is the end of an era. It is the end of an era, Judita. It's a serious end of an era because the movie industry is saying goodbye to an icon. I mean, it's really sad. I don't know who the icon is, but it's sad. Judita, what do you have to tell us?
Yes, it is. This is probably one of the old auteur filmmakers. When you think of Roberto Rossellini and you think of David Lean, that is who the ilk of director that Bernardo Bertolucci is. He passed away today, aged 77, and everyone has been pouring out the tributes to this genius of filmmaking. He, back in 1988, of 1970, he had The Last Tango in Paris, starring Marlon Brando. Then he had The Last Emperor in 1988. It swept the board at the Oscars, winning every single one of the 9 Oscars it was nominated for, including Best Director and Best Movie. So this was a guy that was really, really respected. And what was so special about him is that although he worked with some of the biggest names in Hollywood, like Robert De Niro, Marlon Brando, he never became slave to the Hollywood style. He was a classic filmmaker. He was an artistic filmmaker, and he stayed true to himself. Everyone knew his art as being very sexually provocative when you think of The Conformist or Last Tango in Paris. Yes. But that was his signature, and he always felt that not conforming to what the powers that be would say would have deprived him of his art. So he was always a true artist, and that's why everyone respected him and wanted to work with him.
I mean, speaking of rebellion, he was a bit of a rebel himself. I mean, his aesthetics were always very clean and very neat, but his content was always sexually provocative. I mean, when you look at 1900 as well, The Conformist and The Last Emperor, and of course, this is a man who worked with people like Marlon Brando, like some of the biggest, most talented, amazing acts in Hollywood. And he was such an interesting artist because he was very, very talented, but he was definitely a bit of a rebel as well. So yeah, I mean, as we say here in Nigeria, sunre,
Absolutely.
We see him again soon. Okay, now that's enough of the sad news, Judita,
Absolutely.
because
rest in peace.
Rest in peace. We don't want to have any tears. This is a Rise 360, girl. We're here to have fun. So let's move on very quickly.
Yeah.
You ready? You whooshed that out? We namaste it? Namaste, are we there? Okay.
Yeah.
Now, earlier on, you showed us the brand new live action trailer for The Lion King, which was on Friday, if I recall. Now it has been breaking records, hasn't it? What's going on? Talk to me about that.
Okay, so within just one day, it became the most viewed trailer in one day with 224 million views. Wow. It also became the second highest, most viewed trailer within 24 hours by any studio. Wow. And so this just proves the kind of appetite people have for the live action adaptation of The Lion King, because remember, Disney has been knocking it out of the park with Cinderella, then with Beauty and the Beast, and then also Jungle Book. And everyone knows that the next one will be in May, which is going to be Will Smith in Aladdin. But one of the most successful cartoon Disney ever did was Lion King. So everyone was really holding out for this film. And it's brought back the director of Jungle Book, Jon Favreau, who's directing this one too. So it's not surprised that when it came to people watching the trailer, it knocked everyone out of the park. So Disney knows the appetite is there. They just need to deliver now, come next year.
I mean, what can we really say? Disney, guys, I mean, this is the ball and this is Disney, like, literally completely hitting it out of the park. I mean, they just had the Ralph sequel. They've been doing so well. But what is it about Lion King? You know, it's interesting enough because when the Lion King cartoon first came out, before that Disney cartoon had come out, usually Disney cartoons were all about, you know, lots of really happy endings. And they were a little bit worried about how the audience would react to, of course, the death of Mustafa so early on. Because Lion King touches upon a lot of, it's a very heavy subject matter, especially for kids. But they were blown away because obviously the reception was amazing. What is it about the Lion King, in your opinion, that decades later keeps us still so glued to our screens?
I think it's a two-pronged thing. One thing you already mentioned, which is Disney has a formula, because even though it's known as the children's company, its narrative in all of its cartoons is always quite traumatic for very innocent characters. Yes. When you think about Bambi, The Little Mermaid, Dumbo, they always take the most frail and beautiful creatures and put them through something harrowing and have them triumph over adversity. That is the narrative of Disney's cartoons, and that was the same with Simba. But then the key thing about The Lion King is that it was the first cartoon Disney did that touched on a different culture that wasn't Caucasian. So they went to Africa. They had South African artist Lebo M do the music with Elton John. So the sound was different, the vibe was different, the content was different, the subject matter was different. That whole idea of family and dynasty and culture is something that is kind of alien to Western audiences, but very traditional to African audiences. So it bridged a gap that Disney had been accused of lacking, because many people saw it as perceivably racist. So Lion King kind of broke a lot of boundaries down, and we have to say the music is the stamp of Lion King.
Come on.
It's why the musical at the Lyceum Theatre in the West End has done so well, and in Broadway. It swept the Tony Awards, it swept the Olivier Awards. Yes. The music is exceptional, and the visuals are transcendent. So if they can translate it to this live-action film, another success.
Listen, the score for Lion King is just beyond anything, like you said. It literally did sweep out the Tonys and the Olivier Awards, so that's interesting. Now, Judita, I have to say, it has been an absolute pleasure to sit here and talk to you today. I don't know about you, but I've enjoyed myself immensely.
My pleasure too.
Now, very quickly before you go, I literally have like 60 seconds for you, girl. So tell me, what other movie news do you have for us today? 60 seconds, boo. Go on.
Okay, well, with 60 seconds, Keanu Reeves is going to be voicing a character in Toy Story 4. Woo! The guy who does Buzz Lightyear, Tim Allen, went on the Jimmy Fallon TV show and confirmed that it's going to be a character with sass just like Buzz Lightyear, and it's going to be voiced by Keanu Reeves. Was that 60 seconds?
Well, there you go. Guys, do you see this young woman we call Judita Da Silva? Can you see why I'm in awe? And I think she's amazing. Now, before we say goodbye to you, Judita, it is time for our final video of the day. Now, my darling, what on earth are you recommending for us today?
Okay, so this movie is coming out next year, and I know that I was trying to get catchy, and I'm trying to get you into psychological thrillers. It's called The Intruder. It stars Dennis Quaid, who we haven't seen for ages in films, Michael Ealy and Megan Good. It's about a guy who sells his house but isn't ready to leave and goes a bit cray-cray while doing so. It's very exciting, very nerve-wracking, and I think you're going to absolutely enjoy it. It's called The Intruder, and here is the trailer now.
You remember that conversation we had about grabbing that house up in Napa?
I want a house. I want a family. I want our kids to be able to play outside. This is it, 6741. This is so pretty.
I'm Charlie Peck.
Scott Howard.
Welcome to Fox Club. My great-great-grandfather built this house. It's the only house I ever lived in. I put my soul into it. Fox Club is yours now.
We'll take good care of her. So, you're not gonna believe this. Charlie is outside cutting the grass.
What?
Did you just get this out of the garage?
That's why I keep it.
Thought you'd be gone by now.
It's hard to say goodbye.
I keep hearing this creaking sound.
Honey, it's an old house.
You just bought the pack house, right?
Yeah.
Charlie's quite a guy. Just don't look too close under the mask. His wife died in that house. Mrs. Charlie took Mr. Charlie's shotgun in her mouth. At least that's how Charlie explained it.
Hey! Stop drilling holes in my house!
The man acts like the house still belongs to him.
Honey, he's lonely.
You okay?
It's not your house. This guy is dangerous. I've seen the way that he looks at you.
Now Charlie is after me.
Stay away from my wife.
If you lost everything that was important, and then you had a chance to get it back, wouldn't you just go for it? Lights off! Jenny!
It's okay. Okay, we're not dying today.
Everything I do for us.
Well, that's all from Judita De Silva, and indeed, that's all from us as well. From everyone in Lagos and in London, thank you so much for watching the show. You can catch us every weekday at 4 p.m. right here on the Arise News channel. So, until tomorrow, I'm Mercy Ajishafe, and this has been Arise.